long run cost of production, also known as long run cost curves. This is the 21st session that we are having on topics in microeconomics. These presentations will be useful to all students who pursue a basic course in economics, microeconomics, such as those from BCom, BBA, then BBM or MBA, or even engineering students will find it useful, along with students who have economics at their undergraduate level. So I hope you are making use of this presentation and the notes that accompany the presentation. So let's move into understanding long-run cost curves. Long-run cost curves are different from short-run cost curves simply on the basis of time. Short-run cost curves were meant to be for 3 months, 6 months, or 8 months, depending upon the firm and the product. And during this time, we found that these firms had a distinction between the fixed cost and variable cost. We found that we have total cost categories and the average cost categories. We now move into the long run cost curve. Long run time is large enough for the firm to ignore the fixed cost, becomes all cost becomes variable. We can see that it is the firm's planning horizon. The firm can plan for its long period, and these long period gets sliced into smaller, shorter periods, which is what we studied as the short run cost curves. The long run period for a firm allows the firm to become very flexible. It can decide to work at a lower average cost than that happened in the short run. What else happens to a firm in the long run? The firm can increase or decrease investment in capital. It can expand or contract the capacity of production of the existing plant or set up new plants. It can expand or contract the number of contract laborers that it employs. It can also change the design of products, introduce new products, or even stop producing certain products which are no longer providing good returns for that firm. Long run cost curves are like short run cost curves. They are also U-shaped, but they are much flatter. Now, we shall relate the long run cost curve with the returns to scale that we had examined in the earlier lesson. When a firm changes its scale of production by changing the variable factors in a proportion, we found that the firm experiences three kinds of returns: the increasing returns, constant returns, and decreasing returns. These three terms will now be used to explain long run cost curves. So, all these topics that we study in microeconomics are in some way connected to one another, and if we go sequentially through these lessons, we will not find microeconomics to be a difficult subject. Now, let me take the increasing returns to scale. When we discuss increasing returns to scale, we are also talking about decreasing cost of production or falling cost of production. This happens when the individual short-run cost curves will be one below the other, indicating that the cost curve is actually falling, or the cost of production is actually falling. So increasing returns indicates to decreasing cost. The next one is known as constant returns to scale, where the returns, the minimum point of each short-run cost curve will be the same as the previous level. That means the short run cost curve, 2 or 3 short run cost curves, when the firm is experiencing constant return to the scale, will be on the same plane. And that means the production can be carried out at the same cost for some time. It is also known as constant cost. The third one we know is decreasing returns to scale. In this particular situation, we will experience increasing cost, or the short run cost curves will now move upwards. Every subsequent short run cost curve will be above the existing short run cost curve. So the short run cost curves will have an upward trend. And this, when we combine the short run, we connect, not combine, when we connect the individual short run cost curves, the several individual short run cost curve, when we connect them together with one curve, we get what is called as a long run cost curve. And this long run cost curve is an addition of the short run cost curve, which has been studied year after year of that particular firm. This long run cost curve, what we get, is also known as the envelope curve, because it covers, or it touches all the short run cost curves. It touches the curves that are operating at the increasing returns, at the constant returns, and at the decreasing returns. All these short run cost curves are connected by this, and that is why we call it as long run cost curve. Now this long run cost curve, if we can see in the diagram, the long run average cost curve is U-shaped due to the changing cost of production or returns to scale. Now when we examine the modern cost theory, we find that the modern cost long run cost curve is a saucer shaped, or it has got a longer period of constant returns to scale. It could be because of the technology that is being used for the firm, and it could continue for a longer time than like the traditional cost curve, which was a very sharp U shaped, and it would be going up. The envelope curve connects all the minimum points of the short run cost curve. So in the first diagram, you can see the marginal cost is intersecting the long run average cost at its minimum. Now on the other panel that you can see that there are 5 short run cost curves, and on the left hand side you can see the short run cost curve 1 and short run cost curve 2, though both are indicating that the firm is experiencing increasing returns to scale or decreasing cost. That is why short run cost curve 2 is lower than the first one, indicating that the cost of production is falling. Then we have the constant returns to scale. What is the constant returns to scale? We have one curve there to show that the firm in the short period was experiencing short run cost curve. Thereafter, you can see that the long run cost curves, that curve is moving upwards, because the short run cost curves, average cost curves, are also moving upwards. You can see that in short run cost curve 4 and short run cost curve 5, where it is decreasing returns or increasing cost of production. That is, the last segment is called as the area where the cost of production is actually increasing. So this is how we can use the envelope curve to show that the firm has over the time, how the short run cost curve can be connected to see what has been the shape of these short run cost curves. So the next topic that we shall examine is the revenue curves of a firm. We have already examined the cost curves of a firm. Now we shall see the revenue curves of a firm to move into the understanding of markets. Thank you very much.